Good evening. My name is Amos Jones, and I'm the president of Direct Action Ministries. And I come with a heavy heart this day because of the concern I have for the people of North Carolina as they go to the polls and decide on whether to support your sixth-term Secretary of State, Elaine Marshall, a Democrat. The Secretary of State of North Carolina, Elaine Marshall, she has some explaining to do. She's a Democrat. She's now up for re-election to a seventh term. She's in a state that's more than 20% African Americans. But she sits on the board of Campbell University. Now, she's a 1981 graduate of Campbell Law School. And as such, on the board of the university, she is expected to cast votes as to whether this university will continue voluntarily to fight these race discrimination federal lawsuits, two of them this year alone. Black people in the law school in Raleigh, former employees who have to file suit over equal employment opportunities denied, they have alleged, including me. But this is not about me. This is about the voters of North Carolina. And the concern is that one black male was called a monkey in the dean's suite at Campbell Law School. That's Rich Leonard's offices. And the university trustees presided while the person of Thomas Farr and Ogletree Deakins law firm and Regina Calabro, attorneys there, prosecuted this case in federal court. That was this year. My own case has been going since January of 2017. And Elaine Marshall, who's supposed to be a Democrat, presumably widely supported by African American voters, is on the board of Campbell University. Now, you may not know the name Thomas Farr, but if you don't, you should. Thomas Farr is an attorney who's been around for decades. His record on race is so pathetic, especially with regard to voting rights, that the majority white, majority Republican, majority male United States Senate voted down his nomination to be a federal judge in Raleigh. Now, I am not feeling well, and I have taken a break today to get up the strength to be able to make this presentation, simply to ask the question, Elaine Marshall, are you working with Thomas Farr to keep these cases going? Are you casting votes on the board of Campbell University to continue to pay? Because you all got sanctioned. Your side got sanctioned by the federal judge for failure to produce President J. Bradley Creed and Associate Dean Timothy Zinneker, former Associate Dean, at a court-ordered conference in Raleigh on Juneteenth. Sanctioned for failure to produce those two defendants in the suit and also an insurance adjuster. The sanctions came out on September 24th. And so it's not been a good investment of the university's resources. Thomas Farr was disgraced, got voted down in Washington and came back to Raleigh, and it's back to business as usual. You can read about that at directaction.church. Go to www.directaction.church and get more specific. The questions are today for Elaine Marshall, who expects to receive black support again, to have a seventh term, Campbell Law class of 1981, sitting board member of Campbell University, supposed to be a Democrat. And it seems to me she should answer these questions. Are you voting to extend money to fight the monkey black male name-calling case in federal court earlier this year, or the case of the no blacks with tenure case? Hopefully, at least you'll meet the ultimatum and cast the vote for the black woman whom I was responsible for recruiting, who should be tenured soon by my count, if the board follows my ultimatum in these lawsuits and desegregates its faculty. You've never had a black woman tenured in the history of Campbell Law. You'd never had a black woman on tenure track till I got this one when I was vice chair, who's coming up. You better tenure her. But that's too little too late. this act of desegregation while you are still yet fighting and defending this sorry record and these actions. And you tried not to hire the black woman. She got voted in, and then the faculty changed the rules. I was there, it's in the minutes, voted her out and offered the job to a white woman named Jennifer Pacella. And Jennifer turned Campbell down, and then a black woman got the position. But Jennifer had been voted unqualified, Professor Jennifer Pacella. And she displaced a black woman who had been voted through with flying colors twice so that the white woman could be offered the job. And only when she said no did we get a black woman. I'm so glad that I was vice chair of faculty recruitment to work the faculty and the black woman to make sure that it was, in terms of gender and race, that the faculty integrated that way in 2013, 2014. Don't take my word for it, though. Wake Forest University Associate Dean Dr. Gregory Parks has written a fine expert report on racism in the context of primates with regard to Campbell University by name. I'm happy to release the report. Elaine Marshall, if you've not read it, maybe that will help you along the way. Maybe you're voting the right way, but you need to answer these questions. Are you voting to pay Thomas Farr to fight black people who try to make Campbell law a better place for everybody? 2 federal race discrimination lawsuits in 2020, not just one. Do you really think that African American voters or white progressives should return you for a 7th term until you answer these questions of your votes on the Board of Trustees at Campbell University that's been sanctioned because white men didn't show up at a court-ordered settlement conference on Juneteenth for 9 hours? You can read the court documents. It's public record. Read what was filed on October 22nd, this evening, and see how Thomas Farr's role in this, as a putative defendant, we claim, has gotten in the way of the interests of Campbell University, we believe. Do you agree or not, Elaine Marshall? You're a public official. It's time to stop hiding. But Thomas Farr not only has caused problems and with regard to a resolution, but he's dragged in Professor Lucas Osborne, a great conservative Christian person with deep moral values, and he's brought in his email into the case. You can read that. But Thomas Farr even brought in Louise Leonard, the teenage daughter of Rich Leonard, the dean. How low can you go to bring in a teenage daughter's tweets? And that's what Thomas Farr and the company have done in this case. If the trustees are not following what's happening to you in court, God help you. Go to directaction.church, www.directaction.church. You can read the details. Docket entry 114, the sanctions order. Or you can read the American Bar Association's accreditation advisory, if Campbell would release it. It in 2015, 2016, expressed concern with the lack of specifically black professors. And how did Campbell respond? They tabled my tenure application and misrepresented their actions. And then here comes Thomas Farr again. Then there's Gina Calabro. And Gina Calabro, just some questions for you. You know, I presume were in the class that was represented by the class action lawsuit. Those white women brought a $100 million lawsuit against Ogletree Deakins law firm. If I were on the board of trustees of Campbell University and my law firm had been facing a $100 million white woman sex discrimination class action lawsuit, I would have found a different law firm. Where there's that kind of smoke, there's that kind of fire. Maybe it benefited Gina Calabro. Maybe she got promoted into the partnership while the lawsuit was going on. Again, this is important enough for me to, in the condition I'm in, to come and tell this truth out in the name of Direct Action Ministries. Gina Calabro, did Elaine Marshall tell you to block the Campbell Law Review's invitation to have me write about race this year, honoring a 2016-2017 invitation for me to write about race? The students this semester said, yes, come, write. But then you came, Gina Calabro, and said, no, don't, you can't. Why is an outside attorney censoring the Campbell Law Review? Elaine Marshall, what do you think about all of this? After George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, where do you stand? This is your alma mater. You're a trustee, Elaine. Do you really think that African Americans should vote for you if you've been a party to this Thomas Farr tango that you're doing at Campbell University Incorporated? Elaine Marshall, are you voting to pay Thomas Farr and or his firm to fight these black victims of employment discrimination at Campbell University, your alma mater? After 26 years of black support returning you to power time and time again, you need to come out, Secretary of State Elaine Marshall, and tell the truth and give your opinion of what's happening to your institution in this court case. It gets worse and worse and worse. And we have a right to know, as African Americans, what on earth you're doing. This is Amos Jones, president of Direct Action Ministries, www.directaction.church.